The Rock has returned for a match against Roman Reigns, while another one of his cousins beats the brakes off of Becky Lynch. What an insane way to start off 2024. On this day one edition of Monday Night Raw, it was a fun episode that I think laid the groundwork as we head into WrestleMania season this year. So let's talk about the most important thing that happened on this show, and that's Jinder Mahal has returned. I'm just playing, but to set this whole thing up, Jinder Mahal comes out as a surprise former WWE champion that's going to return on this show, as the whole crowd collectively sighed to express their disappointment, because some people thought it was gonna be Batista, some people thought it was gonna be Big E, but in reality, it was The Rock, who interrupted Jinder Mahal's outdated promo on his hatred for America, and after some back and forth between the two, and The Rock throwing so much shade on his movie Baywatch, Jinder Mahal attacks The Rock, and The Rock fights back, hits him with the spine buster and a people's elbow, and he cuts a winded promo. And in this promo, he pretty much calls out Roman Reigns by asking the crowd if he should sit at the head of the table, and just off that one simple question, set the entire WWE universe and social media on fire. Now, some people expect this match to main event WrestleMania 40, which it very much could, because it's a big money match. But if there's one thing about Triple H, is that he loves to swerve the crowd, like he did with Jinder Mahal. And I think there's a reason why there were so many hints and callbacks to Cody finishing his story, especially his entire feud with Shinsuke Nakamura. It's about Cody finishing his story. And that's why I think that this match is going to happen at the Elimination Chamber instead, which shows how hot the WWE is right now. Because if you think just a couple of years ago, the only person who was credible enough to challenge Roman Reigns was Brock Lesnar. And now going to 2024, there's a bunch of credible main event stars that could challenge Roman Reigns, like AJ Styles, Randy Orton, LA Knight, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Drew McIntyre, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens. The list goes on. And what a way to end off Roman's title reign. If he faces Randy Orton at the Rumble, The Rock at Elimination Chamber, and Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 40, I don't think there's a greater way to go out. But let's talk about the other stuff that happened on this show. Starting off with Nia Jax versus Becky Lynch in a first time ever matchup. This match did not need to be this good, with Becky giving Nia everything she has and more, and it's still not being enough. And this ending sequence of this match was top tier, with Nia hitting Becky with a picture perfect uppercut as she was coming off the top rope, and Nia's hometown crowd erupting into boos for her, all the while leaving Becky knocked on the ground and bloodied up. Now I think Nia won this match for a reason, and I think that's because they're setting her up as this big bad monster for when Jade Cargill debuts, and her beating Nia on her first match back, kickstarting her career in the WWE on a massive high. Now up next we have Cody Rhodes cutting a promo on Shinsuke Nakamura, and he pretty much says that he expected to come into 2024 moving on to bigger and better things, but Shinsuke is holding him back. And to get rid of Shinsuke, he challenges him to a match, which Shinsuke responds with, "See you next week." After that, we have a tag team match between Jey Uso and Kofi Kingston versus Imperium, and sadly this match never really got that far because Giovanni Vinci got injured midway through the match, and luckily the ref caught it and called off the match, giving the win to Jey Uso and Kofi Kingston. Now next we had a MizTV segment with the Judgment Day, or should I say the Judgment Day's PR person, R-Truth, and R-Truth says that he's on a mission to make the Judgment Day more likable, which brings out JD McDonagh and Dirty Dominik Mysterio, and after some extremely funny moments between the four of them, Dominik Mysterio challenges The Miz and R-Truth to a tag team match, and so we get an awesome Truth reunion, and this match was just insanely funny, with R-Truth not knowing where to go or who to tag in with, and then to finish off the match, cosplaying as Shawn Michaels in his match against Ric Flair, saying "I'm sorry Miz, I love you," and accidentally hitting JD, which sets the Miz up for a skull-crushing finale for the 1-2-3. Now after that, we got the first of two title matches on the show, and that's Rhea Ripley versus Ivy Nile, and for this to be Ivy Nile's first singles match on the main roster, she showed out and more, showing that she's on the same level as Rhea, and Rhea selling her ass off to make Ivy look like a credible opponent. And this match, just like with Becky Lynch and Nia, was just top tier. But obviously Rhea came out with the win on this one and retained her title. Then we got the Rock and Jinder Mahal segment that I talked about earlier. So moving on past that, we have a tag team match between Shayna Baszler and Zoey Stark versus Tegan Nox and Natalya. And this match was alright. Pretty much the entire crowd and myself was exhausted after the Rock fired us all up by calling out Roman Reigns. So I was a bit distracted watching this match, but overall I guess it was fine. And speaking of tag teams, we have this NXT-like segment with the women's tag team champions, Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, and they're celebrating becoming tag team champions by partying at some club, which gets crashed by Chelsea Green and Piper Niven, the former tag team champions, and they demand their rematch against the tag team champions, to which they accept because unlike Piper and Chelsea, they're going to be fighting champions. Now for the main event, Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight Championship, this match was hard hitting and so much fun. But to be fair, I don't think Seth Rollins and Drew McIntyre could ever give us a bad match. And after Drew McIntyre giving it his all, Damian Priest runs on in to cash in his Money in the Bank briefcase, which turns out to be a failed cash in after Drew McIntyre intervenes and attacks both Damian Priest and Dominik Mysterio. But before that happened, Damian Priest hit Seth Rollins in the head with the briefcase, so that when Drew McIntyre gets back into the ring and hits Seth with a Claymore, everyone and their mothers thinks that this match is over with, and Drew's about to become the World Heavyweight Champion. That is until the camera pans out and shows that Seth Rollins' foot is on the rope. And while Drew McIntyre is sitting there shocked, it gives Seth Rollins enough time to recover and gain the upper hand and win the match and retain his title. So overall, I think this episode was a great way to kick off the year, setting up potential matches like The Rock versus Roman Reigns, Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill, or a Becky Lynch rematch. But let me know your thoughts down below on this episode of Monday Night Raw, and if The Rock is going to steal Cody's spot at WrestleMania, or do you think Cody Rhodes is going to finish his story? Don't forget to like and subscribe.